Cheater's Tavern, The Princess and the Revolving Door. Cheater's Tavern on Washington Street had one simple rule that nobody ever wrote down. The regulars ran the place. The bouncers were just temporary scenery. Pat, the owner, was a short, bald Irishman with a voice like gravel soaked in whiskey. He'd owned the joint since the late 70s and understood one truth above all others. You could hire muscle, but you couldn't hire loyalty. The regulars, Tommy, Greg, Terry, and the rest of the old crew, kept the peace better than any paid doorman ever could. The revolving door of bouncers proved it week after week. Week 1, Big Mike. Big Mike was 6'6" and built like a fridge. First night on the door, he decided he was going to clean the place up. He started by throwing out 3 regulars for looking at him funny. By midnight he tried to card Sue, Mount for Joy, who had been dancing there longer than he'd been alive. At 1:30 a.m. he told a group of off-duty cops they had to leave because the energy felt wrong. Tommy walked over calm as ever. "Mike, pal, those cops are customers. The girls like them. The girls tip better when the cops are happy. You throw the cops out, the girls get mad, the tips dry up, and Pat gets mad. You see where this is going." Big Mike didn't listen. At 2:17 a.m. he tried to bounce one of the Iron Horsemen for looking at him wrong. The biker laughed, then introduced Mike's face to the sidewalk. Big Mike lasted 6 days. Week 2, Razor. Razor was a former boxer with a shaved head and a permanent scowl. He lasted longer, 9 days. He tried to enforce a no-swearing policy. He tried to stop the girls from sitting with customers between sets. He even tried to tell Pat how to run the bar. On night 9, the Princess of Pelvic Perversion arrived for her special one-night show. She was a legend from the Toronto scene, a tall, statuesque performer known for moves that made even hardened bouncers blush. Word had spread. The place was packed. Off-duty cops, regulars, a few Iron Horsemen behaving themselves, and one very nervous Razor at the door. The princess took the stage to pour some sugar on me. The crowd lost its mind. Halfway through her set, a drunk tourist tried to climb on stage. Razor moved in fast, grabbed the guy by the collar, and started dragging him toward the door, a little too roughly. Tommy stood up from his usual booth. "Easy, Razor, he's just drunk, no need to break his arm." Razor ignored him and kept dragging. That was when Terry, Brogan's old partner, still sober, still with that thick Irish accent, stepped in. "Son," Terry said quietly, "the girls do like it when you handle the customers like meat. The girls are happy, the customers spend money. You hurt the customers, the girls get mad. You see the problem." Razor told Terry to fuck off. The princess paused mid-dance, looked down at the commotion, and simply said into the microphone, "Boys, play nice, or I'm taking my pelvis somewhere else." The entire bar went dead silent. Razor let the tourist go. The princess finished her set to thunderous applause. When she came off stage, she walked straight up to Pat at the bar. "Nice place," she said, "but your new bouncer has the manners of a brick. Fire him before he scares away my fans." Pat nodded. Razor was gone by closing time. Week 3, the princess returns. The princess liked cheaters so much, she came back for a second show 2 weeks later, this time for a full weekend. Word had spread up and down the East Coast. The place was standing room only. Even a few Boston cops in plain clothes showed up, including one old sergeant who had known Brogan back in the day. This time Pat hired a new doorman named Lenny, quiet, polite, built like a fire hydrant. Lenny lasted the entire weekend. Why? Because when a rowdy group of out-of-towners got too handsy with the girls, it was Lenny who handled it. It was the regulars. Tommy quietly suggested they take it outside. Greg stood up and blocked the path to the stage. Terry gave them the calm Irish stare that had broken tougher men than them. Even Brogan, who had dropped in with Dave on his shoulder and Marmalade trailing behind, simply said, "Gentlemen, the ladies are working, show some respect." The out-of-towners backed down immediately. Lenny watched the whole thing and learned the golden rule of cheaters. The bouncer doesn't control the crowd. The regulars do. At the end of the second night, the princess came off stage, walked straight to the bar, and bought a round for the entire regular crew. "To the real security," she said, raising her glass. "The ones who don't need to throw their weight around." Tommy grinned. "Welcome back anytime, princess." The new normal. After that weekend, Pat stopped hearing big, loud bouncers. He started hearing guys who knew how to listen. The revolving door slowed down. The regulars kept running the place the way they always had, quietly, efficiently, and with just enough attitude to remind everyone that Cheaters wasn't just a strip joint. It was a neighborhood. And on the best nights, when the princess was on stage, the beer was cold, the cops were laughing in the back, and the Iron Horsemen were behaving themselves for once, you could feel it. A good night at Cheaters wasn't about who was working the door. It was about who was sitting at the tables, standing at the bar, and keeping the peace without ever needing to throw a punch.